Hello beautiful souls and welcome to my channel. On this channel I talk about topics related to mental health and spirituality. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Before we jump straight into the topic, I want to let you know that I do offer coaching services. So if that is something that you are interested in, the link is down below in the description. You can find out more details in the link on my website. And I also have a book out called Growing Young, Mind, Body, and Soul Cohesion. If you are interested in that, the link is also down in the description. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that we are holding on to resentment or anger. So sometimes we can be so good at lying to ourselves or suppressing these types of emotions that are deemed like wrong or bad. And we become so good at it that we convince ourselves that we are not angry or we are not resentful. And then these emotions like come out in unpredictable ways. And no matter how much you lie to yourself or suppress your emotions, doesn't mean that these emotions do not exist within us, right? And like I said, they can come out in unpredictable ways. We might end up treating people who do not deserve our bad treatment towards, like, we'll take this anger out on people who do not deserve it, or these emotions, when we hold them inside of ourselves, they can become physical illnesses. So we definitely have to be truthful to ourselves and acknowledge that we do actually hold on to these emotions and these memories. And then when you become truthful with yourself and you actually see the truth of the fact that you may be holding on to these types of emotions, you would have to do parts work, because sometimes we have aspects of ourselves that may be holding on to that anger or resentment for whatever reason it is. There might be an aspect of ourselves that just cannot let it go, because we're like, no, if I let that go, then that means I might be dismissing the fact that I was treated wrong or whatever. Like I said, there's so many reasons why people will be holding on to these emotions, and that's when we will have to look at the aspect of ourselves that do hold on to these emotions or these feelings or memories, and do parts work with it, do shadow work with it. When we give ourselves the opportunity to feel these emotions and let them arise, we have to find healthy ways to release them, right? Because sometimes we let them arise or they come up and we don't have good or healthy coping mechanism. So we'll have to put into place something that is healthy. So for example, say you do give your time and space to do this healing work and these emotions arise and you need to release them. So you'll have to come up with ways that can be healthy for you. So if it's through movement, like if you're holding on to all this energy and it's stuck in your body and it's starting to arise, find ways to release them. Punch a pillow if you need to. Dance, move around, do a workout, take a walk. Like if these emotions are coming out, shake them out. Like if they're stuck, just shake it, and shake it out of you. Shake it out of your body. Or like write, find different like therapeutic outlets that can help you release this the emotions or like the resentment or anger that you want to release from yourselves, from your body, from your mind, from your energetic field. You'll have to come up with ways that you can release these emotions. So I'll give you an example. I was feeling these like emotions arising within me, and I felt like I really needed to scream. I couldn't scream in the house because then everyone would be like, yo, what are you doing? So I went into my car and I screamed, and all of a sudden I started to bawl. And I didn't realize I had all of this emotions, or I didn't realize how badly I just needed to release through crying. And so I screamed it out, then I cried and I cried and I cried, and then I felt better. So like that's what I mean, like find some type of way that you can release this emotion when it does arise. Another thing that you can do is actually speak to the part of your body that might be holding on to the anger or resentment. So, for example, in my other videos, I've explained that I have been through sexual related abuse, and so I had to actually speak to parts of my body. I had to go in and like close my eyes and speak to like my vagina and my wound area, and just tell it how much I love it and how it didn't deserve what it went through. And I just had to be very kind and compassionate with that aspect of my body. So there can be certain aspects of our body where we hold on to that resentment, And so that can be another helpful way to kind of just speaking to your parts of your body can be helpful for you to release that energy. Another way you can release this resentment or anger is you could write a letter and be as raw and as authentic as you need to be, and then burn it. And like when you burn it, it's a sign to the universe that you are ready to let this go. You don't want to hold it on to anymore, and you're giving it up to the universe. Or whatever way you want to get rid of it. Get rid of it. Don't hold on to it after you write it. And I know some people may have a pull to like send this letter that they've written to the one that caused the harm. But I would be very cautious in doing something like that, because although you might be doing your healing work, doesn't mean that the other person is going to or has been. Maybe years have been passed, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to send this letter so that they know that I forgive them, or I want them to know how they made me feel. By doing that, you might be inviting toxic people into your life again. It's kind of like an invitation. They may take it as an invitation that you're opening up like a doorway for them to come back into your life. So for me, I've never like a letter, if I was to write it or whatever I felt to that person, I've never given it to the person, because I don't want to invite toxic people from my past into my present or into my future, right? So definitely be careful if you are planning to send this letter out to your abuser. And just keep in mind that you are doing this healing work for yourself and not for them. So try to have an understanding, or like see things from a broader perspective, and realize that your resentment and anger can be affecting different aspects of your life. So for example, if you were done dirty in relationships, you might be walking into another relationship with the same view that you had from that relationship. The anger and resentment, you might be carrying it on and giving it to the person that you have a relationship with. In my case, I've been wronged in so many aspects, but I'm just going to give a little example here. I've been taken advantage in regards to my money. So I had resentment and anger towards money itself. And I had to realize that I had to do healing around the aspect of my life related to money. And I had to start building a more positive relationship with money. Having a more loving relationship with money, because of the fact that I had a lot of trauma connected to money. It made me feel angrier, resentful, and I felt like this actual evilish type of energy when it came to money. And I was like, okay, this is definitely connected to my trauma. This anger, I have to let it go. I have to release it, because it's affecting my financial aspect of life. So that's what I mean, like have a better understanding of what aspect of your life this anger or resentment is affecting your present life. Because if it affects your present life, that means it's going to affect your future as well. So definitely take a look at that, have an inventory list, I guess, and be like, what part of my life is being affected by this anger and resentment. So you'll also have to forgive yourself. So sometimes although we see red flags or we see behaviors that are toxic, we remain in certain situations, or we allow certain situations to continue and prolong, harm or bad treatment. And we have to forgive ourselves. Like for my case, I've been in a lot of toxic connections, and that is because I have literally experienced trauma since birth, and that's a story for another day. But since birth, I've been experiencing trauma. And when you experience trauma for so long and that's what you're used to, then you continue the cycle, right? And you're kind of used to that behavior. So there's just so many different reasons why you might be allowing red flags to just, go without you leaving that situation, and you're like, you see these red flags but you're like, whatever, and you try to ignore them or whatever the case may be. Forgive yourself for that. Be more compassionate. Send that aspect of yourself, that younger part of yourself that allowed these certain behaviors to happen, send that aspect of yourself love and compassion, and forgive yourself. Because yes, in the journey of forgiving others, we also have to forgive ourselves. And that's just what it is sometimes. Something else I would suggest is ask for help. Yes, you can seek out professional help, but if you do not have the funds for that, then you can always go on like YouTube. I went on YouTube and done a lot of my healing from other people, from learning from other people, right? On YouTube. Or I've done a lot of reading, and I still do a lot of reading about like growing and like healing and all of that stuff. So that's help from other people, right? Because other people have written these books, other people have created these videos that I am taking advantage of. So if you don't have the funds for professional help, then you can seek out help in different ways. Another way you can look for help is if you do believe in a higher power. For my case, I do. I always have. I have always believed in God. And I had to call on God in my lowest points, and God has always come through. I remember at one point, the anger and resentment was too strong for me to carry. And I was like, God, help me release this because it's strong. And I had come to a place of my life where I was so good at suppressing and containing my anger. But I had put out into the universe that the next person who comes along and does me dirty, they're getting it. They're getting it. They are going to get it. And so the next person who came along and did me dirty, I ended up like all the suppressed anger and resentment, I directed it to that person. And it was actually becoming addictive. And it definitely gave me an insight of like why people do treat other people wrong. But anyways, this story is for another day. But I do remember like this anger was so strong, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this kind of feels good to like release my anger onto this person. They deserve it. They've done me so dirty. And I was just sending my energy to this person. But at the same time, I knew how wrong it was, and I'm like, okay, this is unhealthy. I definitely need healing, and this is way too strong. This energy, I've let it out, and now it's too strong for me to like, I can't contain it anymore because it's released. And I was like, okay, now this energy is way too strong, and I need help with releasing it. So I like begged God, and I'm like, please God, like help me release this. And thankfully, God came through. I did get the help, and I don't feel the anger and resentment towards people in my past anymore. I actually feel so much better and lighter. So whatever way you need help, whether it's from professional help, whether it's from God, whether it's from like people online or books or whatever it can be, whatever the case is, you can seek for help. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any stories of resentment or anger and how you release that, please share in the comment section below. Or if you have any tips or any guidance on how other people can release anger or resentment, then please also comment that down below. I guess until next time, peace and love.